Oh Lord, it's good to be here with you, mister. Yeah, I said it. Because if there's one thing I've learned after years of self-imposed isolation, disguised as personal space, it's that loneliness doesn't always show up wearing black clothes and sad music. Sometimes it's just you, scrolling at 2 in the morning, pretending you're fine while your brain whispers, "Hey buddy, maybe the problem is you." And before you roll your eyes and click off, hold on. We're all guilty of this weird cycle I call the lonely loop. Back in my early 20s, I thought solitude made me deep. You know, mysterious, like the guy in every indie movie whose only personality trait is listening to jazz and staring out of windows. But truthfully, I was just scared. Every time someone got too close, I'd pull back with some dramatic excuse like, I just need time to focus on myself. Which translated meant, I'm terrified you'll see I have no idea what I'm doing. Before we go deeper, real quick, if you're new here, make sure you subscribe to Confident Connection Lab. We talk about this kind of emotional chaos every week, and it's low-key therapy you don't have to pay for. And hey, before we move on, drop in the comments where you're watching from. I love seeing which part of the world this tiny army of overthinkers is hiding in. So picture this. Every time someone tried to connect, I'd smile, nod, pretend to listen, and then emotionally eject mid-conversation. Like the topic didn't even matter. A simple, "How's your week?" would trigger a full mental shutdown. My brain would whisper, "Abort mission, this is getting real." And guess what? That habit becomes armor. You convince yourself you're protecting your peace, but you're actually pushing people away before they have the chance to disappoint you. It's emotional self-defense turned self-sabotage. The stickman version of me at that time would look like this. Tiny brain, huge wall, holding a fake smile sign that says, "Everything's fine." He waves at people from behind his tower, but never opens the gate. That's the lonely loop. You suffer, you hide. You tell yourself nobody understands, and that story becomes your comfort blanket. But here's the kicker. You built that blanket yourself. Nobody forced you to stop trying. It's just easier to stay stuck when you can call it independence. I learned something wild when I started unpacking my own habits. Half the moments when I thought people didn't get me were just me being defensive. Someone would ask an honest question, and I'd interpret it as an attack. They'd share their opinion, and I'd instantly start planning my counterpoint instead of actually listening. It wasn't conversation anymore. It was survival mode. And the crazy part? That survival mode started in childhood. Being told not to be too sensitive, too emotional, too needy. So, as an adult, I became the king of I don't care, even when I desperately did. Let me ask you something uncomfortable. How often do you shut someone down before they can even show up for you? Maybe it's ghosting. Maybe it's pretending to be busy. Maybe it's saying you're fine when you're literally falling apart. The sad truth? Every one of those little defenses teaches your brain that isolation equals safety. And the brain loves safety more than happiness. It's wired for survival, not connection. So you end up reinforcing loneliness like it's a skill you're proud of. Congrats, you've just mastered emotional self-sabotage level 1. If you want to break out of it, the first step isn't some fancy therapy word like mindfulness. It's honesty. Brutal, uncomfortable. I want to hide under a blanket honesty. Start admitting when you're lonely. Tell a friend, "Hey, I've been pushing people away and I don't know why." That single sentence breaks the loop faster than any self-help video ever could. And when someone reaches out, don't analyze it to death. Just receive it. Let it be. The goal isn't to be perfect at relationships, it's to stop perfecting your isolation. I started small. I began texting people back even when I didn't have something witty to say. I showed up to hangouts even when my brain screamed, "Cancel." And over time, I realized connection isn't built on charisma, it's built on consistency. People don't need you to be dazzling, they need you to be present. Being available beats being impressive every single time. So, next time you catch yourself scrolling through your own mental highlight reel of every failed friendship and calling it proof you're cursed, Stop. Breathe. You're not unlovable. You're just in the habit of acting like you are. And habits can change. That's what we'll dive into next. The invisible walls your overthinking builds and how to finally tear them down. Until then, if this hit even a tiny bit, subscribe to Confident Connection Lab. We're building this thing together. One awkward, honest, messy step at a time. Imagine this. You're texting someone, maybe a friend or someone you kind of like. You type a message, read it twice, then rewrite it 4 times because suddenly, every word feels like a trap. You hit send and immediately start replaying the message in your head like it's the last voice memo the world will ever hear. That's overthinking. It's like emotional security theater. You think you're keeping yourself safe, but all you're doing is building an invisible wall between you and everyone else. When I was deep in my lonely era, I genuinely believed that analyzing everything made me smarter. Like, if I could predict every possible emotional reaction, I could prevent pain. Spoiler alert, pain doesn't care about your mental gymnastics. I remember spending whole nights dissecting a 5-word text. Just 5 words. But to me, it was a psychological riddle. Did she sound distant? Did she use a period at the end? Oh no, she said, sure. Everyone knows sure is emotional purgatory. In my head, that text wasn't just a word. It was a funeral for potential connection. Here's what I realized later. Overthinking is control dressed up as care. You say you're just being cautious, but really, you're terrified of being misunderstood. Every time I tried to act chill, it wasn't chill. It was fear. The stickman version of me back then would be holding binoculars, spying on every social situation from a distance, muttering, "They probably hate me." He wasn't part of the scene. He was the guy in the corner narrating it like some tragic documentary. Thinking you're self-aware is one thing. Weaponizing it against your own happiness is another. You know what else sucks about this habit? It makes you a terrible listener. Not because you don't care, but because the conversation in your head is louder than the one you're actually in. Someone tells you a story about their day, and you're too busy rehearsing your next line in case you sound boring. And when they pause, you panic. There's that awkward silence, which feels like the universe collapsing. So you blurt something weird like, haha, yeah, totally, traffic, right? Then boom, conversation murdered in cold blood. But here's the deal. The wall isn't made of thoughts. It's made of fear disguised as preparation. You think double-checking every action protects you from rejection, but it actually creates it. People can feel when you're not present. They sense when you're scanning them for hidden motives instead of showing up as yourself. And nothing kills connection faster than suspicion disguised as sensitivity. It's exhausting, not because others demand clarity, but because you do. You can't relax enough to let people surprise you. Breaking that cycle started for me when I learned something painfully simple. Not everyone is thinking about me as much as I'm thinking about me. That sounds obvious, but when you're an overthinker, it's revolutionary. Every text doesn't have a hidden meaning. Every delay doesn't mean rejection. Sometimes people are just buying groceries. I remember one moment, someone took hours to reply, and I spiraled imagining 50 scenarios. Then I called them later and they said, "Sorry, my phone died." That's it. That's the plot twist. No betrayal, no hidden agenda, just low battery. So how do you fix it? You stop preparing and start participating. Next time your brain goes into analysis mode, literally say out loud, "I'm not going to chase clarity, I'm going to create connection." You don't need to solve every emotional mystery. You need to be emotionally available. Connection grows when you stop curating your every reaction. It's not about controlling outcomes. It's about trusting yourself to handle whatever outcome happens. Start being curious instead of calculating. Ask questions that don't have perfect answers. When someone says something vulnerable, respond like a human, not a scriptwriter. You're not auditioning for flawless. You're auditioning for honest. And if it goes wrong, cool, that's data. That's life giving you honest feedback instead of silent overanalysis. You can't learn social warmth from behind an emotional firewall. I once read about Carl Rogers describing what he called realness. It's when your internal and external selves match. That hit hard. When I finally stopped editing myself in real time, people relaxed around me. They started opening up more because surprise, authenticity is contagious. Connection doesn't need perfection, it needs presence. When you embrace that, even awkward moments become bonding opportunities. The invisible wall starts to crack, and soon those cracks turn into conversation. If you're watching this thinking, wow, that's me, don't stress. You're not broken. You're just overtrained in survival mode. The same mind that built the wall can learn to take it down. And trust me, once you step through, life gets louder, warmer, and infinitely more real. That's where we're heading next. How to turn vulnerability into power and finally break the lonely cycle once and for all. Oh Lord, welcome back, my fellow emotional gladiator. If you've made it this far, congrats. You've faced your ghosts, peeked behind the invisible wall, and realized that maybe, just maybe, the problem wasn't everyone else being shallow. Maybe the loneliness had your fingerprints on it too. But here's the twist. Recognizing the pattern isn't the finish line, it's the doorway. What matters now is what you do with that awareness, how you choose connection over protection, and how you stop replaying the same emotional rerun that ends with you feeling alone. Let's be real for a second. Vulnerability sounds cute online, like those deep posts with moody filters and coffee cups. But in real life, it feels like standing naked in public. You start to open up, and instantly, your brain starts yelling, "Abort! Too real!" Trust me, I used to do the same. Anytime a conversation got serious, I'd make a joke to dodge it. Or I'd hit them with a chill, "Yeah, I'm good," when I wasn't even close to good. That's the body's way of saying, don't you dare risk rejection. But something shifts when you stop living like your emotions are liabilities. When I finally got tired of my own emotional hide and seek, I decided to try something radical: honesty, the real, non-aesthetic kind. I started telling people the truth about how I felt, but not in a dramatic, dump everything on the table way. More like, hey, I actually had a hard day, instead of the automatic, I'm fine. And every time I did that, something unbelievable happened. People didn't run away, they leaned in. Turns out, people respond to real more than perfect. That single revelation can change your entire social life. Think about it. Every deep bond you've ever had came from some kind of mutual risk. Someone had to go first. Someone had to admit they cared, to say they were scared, to let their guard down before it felt safe. That's the secret code of real connection. Someone has to dare first. And every time you choose that route, even when it feels uncomfortable, you're retraining your nervous system to believe that closeness doesn't equal danger. That shift is where healing actually lives. Now, this doesn't mean you should go around spilling your soul to random strangers at the grocery store. No, it's more about micro-honesty. The tiny, almost invisible choices that keep your heart open instead of locked. Like texting your friend back even when you feel tired because connection is built on showing up. Or saying, hey, I miss you, without worrying if it sounds clingy. Each small act is you telling your old fears to take a seat. You're in charge now. The funniest part about healing loneliness is that it's paradoxical. You can't do it alone. It's like trying to learn singing without making a sound. It doesn't work. The moment you decide to connect, you'll feel resistance. That's normal. Every emotional wall you've built has muscle memory. So when you start letting love or friendship in, your first instinct will be to flinch. Do it anyway. Awkwardly, imperfectly, even while overanalyzing how weird you sound. Because progress and connection isn't smooth. It's gritty, raw, and human. Let me give you a personal snapshot. A few years ago, I reconnected with an old friend I'd ghosted out of pure fear. No drama, just me being emotionally unavailable and pretending it was self-care. When we finally talked, I expected them to be cold, to call me out. Instead, they said, "Man, I missed you." That moment shattered me a little, because it showed how much time I'd wasted assuming the worst. Most people don't want to judge you. They just want to understand you. You just have to give them a chance. So, how do you keep this momentum going? Practice noticing the moments when you retreat. When you start reanalyzing a conversation in your head, ask yourself, am I protecting myself or am I avoiding connection? That simple check-in can change your emotional trajectory. Over time, it stops being about fighting loneliness and starts being about building belonging. Because connection isn't a skill, it's a practice. And like anything practiced, you get better at it by showing up, one awkward chat at a time. Here's the truth. I wish someone had told me sooner. Loneliness doesn't disappear when others show up. It fades when you stop hiding. It's not about finding the right people as much as becoming the one who's ready to be seen. That's what choosing connection over protection really means. You stop negotiating your worth. You stop editing your feelings. You let people see your weird, your fear, your hope, your humor. And somehow, in that messy mix, you find your place. Before we wrap this up, if something in this series hit you, if you felt seen, or even just a little less alone, subscribe to Confident Connection Lab. That's the space we're building here. Together, one laughably human moment at a time. Because trust me, once you start choosing connection, everything else starts to make sense.